I mainly wanted to talk today about my book, which I've been talking a lot about, possibly too much. It's all over Facebook, and I gave a reading. This is the book. It's beautiful. It's called Shiny, like a shiny car, you know? The book is, the cover is almost as good as the book. It's dynamite. And I have to thank Rodney Charles, number one. This dates back about 8 months or more when there was that contest that many of you possibly voted for, Ink Fingers. It was a literary contest. I got lucky. I won, tied with a lovely young woman in New Hampshire. She's got a book out called Untold by Amy Spitzfaden. It's available, I'm sure, wherever, online. Shiny, I don't want to cover her face because she's so lovely. I have it on my computer table, and I look at her eyes, and Rodney Charles did a beautiful job. This is published by First World Publishing, local publisher, and there's no way to do it. There we go. Can't do it. That's enough, isn't it? But the book, how it came to be and all that, but first I want to thank Betsy Howland at Revelations for carrying the books, and currently they're carrying too many. So you may as well go over there and buy one. I mean, 18, 19 bucks or whatever, in a week you won't remember you spent it. You know, you could lose that much money and you wouldn't care. I am asking you to read it. I think you'll really like it. And it's a great book. I think. I don't know if it's my best. I've written 2 other books I won't get into, but nobody has ever read this one. Hardly. A Girl Named Jesus. I love the title. A Girl Named Jesus. Printed by Primal Publishing in Boston some years back. And my lucky break, The Red Truck, published by Alfred Knopf, however you pronounce it, in New York, edited by the famous, wonderful Gordon Lish. It won a bunch of awards and all that. I've been very fortunate to have won several awards and got great reviews. New York Times liked it twice. This opened so many doors for me. Without this, I don't think the other books could have come along or anything. This opened everything up, and it's an unusual book. It's still available anywhere. You could find it online, or you could find it used for $1. My brother found it once for 99 cents. And so he sent me a t-shirt, and it said, The Red Truck, 99 cents. Well, he's a lovely fellow, quite a good writer himself. He read with Charles Bukowski, I'll never forget it, in 1969 in Lawrence, Kansas. It's like University of Kansas, 40,000 students. It's like a sister city to Iowa City. And it went well. He acted crazy, and then Bukowski comes on with a refrigerator filled with beer. And he read for a while, you know. Shiny, her name is Shiny Apollaris. I continue to say her name because I want you to remember it. This is a true story. Absolutely true. You can think me crazy or not. I was sitting on a bench at the Penn Mall, Iowa City, after class one day. I was in the writer's workshop up there. I taught there, luckily, for a year. I don't remember, 2 years maybe. It was wonderful. We had the students, what's wonderful about it is, you know, you're a writer and all that, but when you go to a prestigious workshop, you have to rise to the occasion. So it brought the best out of me. And I wrote a story called Impressions. Terrible title. Really, such a benign, you know, generic title. But it also did well. It won $5,000 award, and I got from the Paris Review, and I got to go to New York City. Now I got to go to New York, take my girlfriend at the time, Tricia Klein. Many of you might remember her, and her sister Elizabeth. Very funny, always wacky, up to something. Redheaded twins from Fairfield. But Tricia and I went to New York, like wined and dined. I couldn't believe it, over a short story. And they gave me $5,000. It was just like unbelievable, and that was my first short story, second. And so I did the workshop, and I did that 2 or 3 years I was there. That was good. And how shiny came to me. I was sitting in the Ped Mall after class one day. I felt a presence come to me. I mean, if like a person was this close to you, forget breathing. There was no breathing. There was life. There was presence. And I knew who it was. I knew her name. I knew her story. I knew all about her. I knew all of her details. And so all I had to do then was write it down. Of course, that took some effort, but I did it, and it was fun. And I was thinking about reading from it, but I wanted to read the parts that I don't usually read, because usually I read the same thing, This is her older brother Carl. The story is about a brother and sister who love each other. They cling to each other because they come from a dysfunctional home, long gone father, suicide mother, and they're separated in the foster homes. And the brother looks for shiny, literally, for the rest of his life. Through people, places, things, he's always got shiny on his mind. And when he finds her, it blew my mind. I mean, that's what I like about writing. When you don't even know what your characters are going to do until they do them. And sometimes they do stuff and you go, no, don't do it. You got to let them do it. If you're trying to strain out an idea and work on it, that's hard. That's good. So many do it, but I couldn't do that. So I'm lucky. I have to chase after my characters to see what they're going to do next, Here's a short half a page. Her brother's asking her. He asked her about cats and dogs. He goes, once I asked her why there were cats and dogs here on earth with us. There are dogs to dig holes, and there are cats to be run over by cars and lie there with sad, dead cat faces on the middle of the road. Also, there are cats to look at birds, especially gray cats. They will all look like gray cats in the dark. There are yellow cats so they can eat corn cobs. They fill up space that might otherwise be taken up with things like truck tires and beer and bad dad cologne smells. 5 cats fill the space of 1 bad cologne, she said. 10 dogs fill the space of 50 dead pigeons. Dogs are nicer than dead pigeons. It's just arithmetic. 1 dog erases 1 shower that won't work very well and keeps making the water too hot to take a shower in. 50 cats erase 1 day of a boy in a poor place eating dirt and bad food. Maybe even the whole boy, if the cats are good enough. But 50 scabs eaten by a very hungry boy erases 1 good cat, so you have to be careful. She didn't smile or anything when she said things that way, just all nonchalant and throwaway. That was odd, wasn't it? I haven't read this book in a long time. I mean, I wrote it, but I couldn't repeat it, verbatim. Chapter 13. Once, only once, Shiny and I went to the drive-in. Mom had a date, so we had to go out. The drive-in was only a few blocks away. It was next to a cornfield and a swimming hole. There were always a lot of people there yelling and playing games, never just being there. You had to walk a long way in the corn furrows to get to it. It was hot and dirty and sticky and stupid. Shiny went. She didn't mind. Her hair used to stick out. I remember seeing it from behind her, walking in the dirt in those summers. Those kinds of pictures in my mind, they were different than the way it really was, being now only a memory. We sat at nights with other people we never talked to, out there in the cornfield's edge, and would watch movies at a distance. We could see the whole drive-in from where we were, only the screen shining out to us. Sometimes Shiny talked to other people, but I didn't want to. One time she cried at what she saw on the screen at a distance, without any sound hardly getting to us. She sat on the ground without her shoes on and cried into her hands at what the actors did. It was what they did to some animals, some cruelty. That ground, it's still out there, that held her small weight like it was nothing. All the people having walked out there now that are gone. She always said how the animals weren't actors. They're not acting, she said. I know they killed them just for the movie, she said. They don't care. And when those horses fall down like that, they break their legs all the time. I know they do. One time, Sammy Davis Jr. was in a show and someone shot his cow or a bull in a dusty cowboy street. And Shani cried and tore her shirt over it. She cried harder at that than I'd ever seen her. So I hope that you will give it a whirl. It's a good book. Like I said, I'm a local resident here forever. I came here in 1934, I think, or 24. I came here in 1979, and I've left on and off, which you gotta do. You gotta do sometimes. Hawaii a lot. My brother lives the life in Hawaii. He's got a room for me, so I go in the winter. The summer's horrible. Tropical island. I lived in Minneapolis for years. I lived in LA for years. I lived in New York. I worked in Manhattan. What a nightmare. I mean, at the time it was all right because I was young. I was there a couple of years ago. It was just overwhelming, unbearable. The people, the traffic, the noise, probably because I have atrophied, perhaps, living in Fairfield. But there are so many perks. There's so much art. There's so much creativity here in Fairfield. And again, I must thank the people responsible for this book. It's Ink Fingers is the publisher, a subsidiary of First World Publishing. Publisher Rodney Charles, a great guy. He's put up with a lot of my shenanigans. And he's fine. He's a fine individual. And to have done this and created that cover, he's quite a guy. And he's even got it out in France. Very happy about that. There's a French version. And I don't know how you find it. It's online, go on Amazon somewhere, and you could type it in, I guess. French version, Shiny, Rudy Wilson. And Betsy Howland, who I've given readings there. I've known her since the day they opened. That was many years ago, 20 years. And the Howland sisters are wonderful. And I want to thank all of them very, very much. And I want to thank FPAC for letting me come on and read today. It's been fun to talk about all this, and I'm going to go. And good luck to you all, and I thank you very much, FPAC. I thank everybody responsible for this book and for reading it. I appreciate it. Goodbye.